Hello everyone, this is Melody with Design by Melody and welcome to day 9. Yeah, I think it's day 9 of my February video-a-thon. I have such a hard time with that word. It needs to be video-a-thon. Video-a-thon. There we go. Video-a-thon series, I suppose you could say. And today we are actually doing a layout. So I'm still working with this stash kit. I know that there are 12 by 12 papers in there, but I really am kind of liking the cards that are all in this kit. I had a whole pile of cards and I could make many more layouts with those cards. But I'm doing a Project Life page today, or a pocket page layout today. And as you can see, I have 4 4x6 photos. I trimmed down the one that's in the middle row just a little bit, about 1/4 inch on the sides and the top, just to make it to where that I can divide it between the 2 3x4 pockets. So I am using one 4x6 card behind that to be able to show the continuity between those 2 pockets so that the background is the same color. It just makes it read, even though it's 2 separate pockets, it kind of reads as one whole photo instead of it being divided down the middle. So I've got those laid out. So I'm using 2 4x6 cards from the Studio Calico stash that I have. I'm also pulling out this Jen Hadfield 6x6 paper pad. I'm going to trim a few of these little like 1x1 inch squares and put them in a few different places on this layout. And then I'm going to pull out this wood grain paper as well. So I had this wood grain paper that apparently I had pulled out for something before because it's already perforated from the paper pad, but I never used it. So I'm going to create a 3x4 card here behind this really funny picture of my nephew. So he's holding a plastic plate in front of his face and like pushing his face into the plate. So it's got like his smushed face through the yellow plate. So how could you not put this in your scrapbook albums and show them this when they are like 15, because you know they're going to love it. He's only 2 still. He hasn't turned 3 yet. He'll be 3 in a couple weeks. So I am trying to sort through what I want this final 3x4 pocket to be. I really thought about using that floral. It was a really pretty floral, and it was from that Jen Hadfield 6x6 paper pad as well. But I ended up settling on this black and white, pretty dainty looking print from Studio Calico, and it was from one of the 6x6 paper pads that came with, or that you could purchase in addition to the monthly kits that you got. I think it's from like 2016, maybe 2017. I'm really not sure. It's one I've had for quite some time. But I keep it, or I have it in my stash and I use it for different things. So because I only had one pocket up here at the top that wasn't a 4x6 photo, I felt like it needed a little bit, again, of some continuity, and it needed a white border just like all the other 4x6 pockets on this spread. So I cut down the 4x6 card, Studio Calico card that I was going to use in that pocket and added a white border all the way around it. And then I am pulling out my LE Studio calendar card. I have consistently used these since 2016, I believe. I think 2016 was the first year that I used those LE Studio calendar cards, and I absolutely love them. I have not purchased the 2019 ones yet, but I will. I actually went into their shop this morning to make sure that they are available, and they are. So I will link that in the description box below. You're not going to be able to find the 2017 ones again unless somebody's selling those from their stash, but you could definitely start using them in your 2019 scrapbook albums if you like, because they are available right now in her shop. So, and they're pretty inexpensive. I want to say they're like $3 or $4, something like that. They're really not too terribly expensive. All right, so I've got all my photos laid out here, all my cards, everything's kind of sorted and glued down and ready to go. The only embellishments I have on here so far are the little 1x1 square pieces of paper that I cut out from one of those 6x6 paper pads. And then I'm pulling out this like quote that's on a sticker sheet from Chamel, and I'm going to layer that on top of this little 1x1 inch square that I had cut out, and also layer that on a little bit of washi tape. And this is just some gray washi tape. It's like silver polka dot washi tape, but it reads as a gray because it's slightly transparent, so you don't necessarily see the metallic shine of it. You see more just the gray color. So I'm layering that on top of there. I've got a lot of like empty space, I guess you could say, in some of these photos because it's pictures of Kaylin running around outside, and there's like a lot of ground space where there's grass, kind of dead grass because we're in February, but grass and leaves. And so I'm using those spaces on those 4x6 photos to do a little bit of embellishing. I was going to layer the quote on top of the 1x1 inch square that I cut, but then I ended up changing my mind and putting it at the top of the photo instead. And then just doing a little bit of embellishing around that. Just the slightest little bit. I have really been using these rub-ons. I know they're kind of odd, but I'll show you in just a second. I'll pull those out. So these are some rub-ons that were actually baby themed. And they're from Kaiser Craft, and I've had them in my stash for quite some time. I purchased them from one of those daily deal sites where you can like purchase a whole collection for like $10 or something like that. So I purchased it, and they sent me 2 copies of 2 different sets of rub-ons. So I have like 4 sheets of rub-ons from this particular collection. One is black and white, and then so 2 of the sheets are black and white, and then 2 of the sheets are like this teal and pink color. And so I added them to this stash kit. This is the only thing I really added to this kit versus what was already in the kit when I found it. But I added these rub-ons because I wanted to see if they were actually useful still, if they were actually worked or whatnot, or if I just needed to get rid of them. Well, they work perfectly fine, actually. And so I've been using them quite a bit in the last few layouts. They're very simple and very small and dainty. I'm not using, or I haven't used any of the large rub-ons off of that sheet yet, but I will eventually, I'm sure. For right now, I'm just kind of using the small little elements. So I pulled out a couple of the Amy Tangerine word strips from the Remarks. I think it's like Amy Tangerine Remarks word stickers or something like that. You get gray, teal, and pink, I believe, in that set. So I just used a gray one here. And then I also pulling out, again, that Chamel sticker sheet again. It's got an alpha on there, but it's also got some quotes, and I just used a couple of the like words and quotes. I'm using a little heart banner from this planner sticker sheet that I have. I believe that's a Recollections sticker sheet that I purchased from Michael's a couple years ago. But I'm using that on this top left card to bring just a hint of that teal up here to the top left. I have teal in a couple different spots in this layout, but this top left card was feeling very like peachy pink to me and not a whole lot of any other color. I've got the gray on there, but it's still a muted color. It doesn't necessarily bring a lot of bright color to it. I've got this sticker sheet, as you can see. This is that planner sticker sheet from Recollections, and I'm just kind of looking at it, trying to figure out if there's anything else that I want to use. Since these are a lot of older products, I really try to take the opportunity to look at each thing and see if there's a way for me to incorporate it into any of the layouts that I'm doing. A lot of times these products could be potentially older or maybe getting to the near the end of their packaging. So I try to just utilize what I can and be purposeful about my placement. I'm not trying to use up the stuff from my stash. However, I do want to, since I have these products pulled out, I do want to look at them and really utilize them and take a look at them before I put them back in my stash, because they may not be pulled back out for, I don't know, another 6 months or even longer potentially. So I try to take the opportunity while I have them out to just look at them and see if there's anything that I could potentially use. And then these are those rub-ons that I was talking about, how I've added them to this kit, trying to decide if they are something that I want to try to keep or if they're just not usable enough and then I need to get rid of. So I'm like staring at them for a second, well, maybe longer than a second because this is a sped up video, but I was staring at them trying to figure out, do I want to add this journaling? Can I even write on the journaling once it's like a rub-on? Can you use a Sharpie on it? Like, I'm not really sure what kind of pen you'd use on the journaling spot that's there. So I think probably when I do end up using that, I'm not using that on this layout, but when I do end up using that, I probably need to put it on just a piece of cardstock first to determine if it would actually work to be able to be written on before I use it on my layout, because I don't necessarily want to put it down and then not be able to write anything on it and then just kind of have like this oops spot on a photo or something like that. These rub-ons are actually really good. I mentioned it in the last video I used them on. I was actually really impressed because they are even such good quality that they rub onto washi tape with no problem, which I was kind of shocked about because I don't always have the best history with rub-ons. So the fact that they would even come off on washi tape was pretty darn good. just really scattering the hearts mostly about throughout the layout. I've got the little small pink hearts as well as the little small teal hearts, and there's like 2 shades of each of those. So I'm kind of scattering those about. Now I have this die cut washi tape that's in this particular kit, and I'm adding it to this top photo. This is the only embellishment on this layout that I kind of wish I had changed or done a little bit differently, because I don't add that washi tape anywhere else on the rest of this layout. I do have that same color in a couple other places on the layout, which is what originally drew me to it, to be able to even add it to this particular photo. But I don't actually use that same element anywhere else. And it's such a distinctive element that I kind of feel like it either needed to eliminate it on this card or maybe add it another place. I think it looks fine. It's just one of those things that I'm like, kind of wish I had done that differently, or I kind of wish I had moved that. But I didn't find any other place to put it on this layout either that made sense to me. I could layer it under the photo of Warren holding the plate up to his face, but having lacy pink washi tape right next to the fact that he's sitting there being a giant goofball doesn't necessarily match either. So I'm just going to kind of forgo that, and it's going to stay there, but it doesn't really go anywhere else on this layout either. I'm working on my title card here, trying to figure out if there's anything else that I want to do with it. I added a little border rub-on right below the gray word sticker, and then I moved the gray word sticker to overlap it just slightly, just so it's not like 2 separate elements, but they're kind of interconnected. And then I'm using this rub-on sheet, this alpha rub-on sheet that I have, to write out family. And it's just basically to indicate that this is family time. This is not any particular event. Well, we were in town for a funeral. That's why Kaylin and I had driven down to Charlotte for the weekend. But we were just taking the time after the funeral to enjoy with the family. I have one filler card here that I'm also filling, and it's just going to have the words "Love This" on it with a little die cut and then a little drawn border that you can see me using my T-square ruler with. And these rub-ons, again, have been something that have been in my stash for quite some time, and they are working. There's nothing wrong with them. I struggled a bit with one of the letters. I couldn't get it to like lay properly. It wanted to, I guess the surface that I was rubbing it onto was slightly too smooth, so it struggled like adhering to it. But once I got it on there and kind of rubbed it down with my fingers, it was good to go. It's not going to move. I really love that font. I like how it's very like uniform looking. It's very clean and crisp looking, but it's still also, it's very dainty because it's thin. It's a very thin font, but it's also, it makes a pretty bold statement because it's quite large. So I'm using those rub-ons in 2 spots, and I absolutely love this rub-on set. I wish I well, I don't wish because I do have more, just different fonts. I actually really like rub-on alphas. I wish I used them more and utilized them more, but it's just so easy to use alpha stickers just the same. But really, rub-on alphas are actually quite fun. I have a pack of like 10 of these Geo-type alphas. That I think were originally, they're not technically a scrapbook product. I think they're actually for making homemade signs. I think that's technically what they're for. They're very old. I can't remember what the date of them is, but I bought some on eBay, and they were fairly inexpensive, but they're like, I don't know if they're technically vintage or what, but they're actually really, really old. But they still work really good. And you get this ginormous sheet of alphas, and it's even got like grid lines on there to help you line up your alphas as you're rubbing them on to whatever you're rubbing them onto. So it's actually really kind of cool. I really like the product. That was completely a tangent because I'm not even using those on this particular layout, but I'm sure you'll see those make an appearance here shortly because that is something that I've really been wanting to use. Adding just the tiniest bit of journaling. This is the only spot that there's really journaling on here. I'm going to add a caption beside Warren with the plate because I'm not 100% sure in 10 years we'll remember what child that is. We'll know it's either got to be Warren or Finn because they're about the same age. There's only about like 6 to 7 months between the two of them. So we know it's got to be one of them. And they're both like little blonde children. But I just needed to label who that was. But this journaling that I'm putting on here is just talking about how Kaylin is always on the run. He's always just having fun and enjoying his time outside. And it's a wonder that he's not a blur in any of these photos because he was literally chasing the dogs, playing with grandma, running around in the leaves, just enjoying the day. So we are nearing the end of this layout. I'm going to add a few more things. I'm actually going to cut out this 2x2 card. It has a heart on it and it says adorbs. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. And then I'm going to also layer a die cut word strip up here. If you remember, this particular kit is like chock full of die cuts, and I didn't really utilize them on the first layout that I did. So when I did the Traveler's Notebook spread, I really pulled out all the die cuts. Well, because I pulled out all of the die cuts for that Traveler's Notebook spread, I literally went through every single die cut that was in this kit when I was making that layout. So now I'm pretty familiar with what die cuts are in here. So I'm really kind of utilizing a bunch of them in different places. Not going overboard, but really just kind of utilizing them on the page that I'm making. I love the use of die cuts. So my problem when I scrapbook is that I find one product I really love and then I like use it constantly. And then I may not use so much of the other stuff. Instead of being more balanced of using a little bit of everything. You guys probably don't see that struggle, but that's my internal struggle with layout sometimes. So that finishes this layout. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Make sure you check out the description box below as well as my blog for more information, and I will be back tomorrow with something new. I'm not sure what we're going to get into tomorrow, but we're going to get into something. So make sure you come back and see what's going on. All right, guys. Bye.